Before we get into integrating JavaScript with our applications, let's take a look at accessing properties and two useful tools for logging out data. Since most everything in JavaScript has to do with variables, the browser gives us access to some built-in functionality that will help us as developers while testing our applications. The first is the console variable. Now if I just type this in and run it, we'll be able to see information about the console object that the browser has defined. Now we don't need any information from the memory, but if we look at this hidden proto object, we can see that there are some useful functions for working with the console, this tab. The most important one is this console log function. So the console object is just a normal JavaScript object that's been defined by the browser. It has a property called the log method, which is defined as a function. We can see it over here. So first we'll start by typing in the variable we want to access, which is console. Then we'll use the dot notation, which we'll get into more when we get into objects, to access a property. The property we want to access is the log property. Now log is a method, or a function, which means that we'll need to call it. To call a method, and we'll get into this more later as well, we'll pass the open and close parentheses. And then we'll end our statement with a semicolon. Now console log expects arguments, and the arguments are passed through in between the parentheses. In this case, let's console log the value hello. So I'll type it in as a string, HELLO, and then I'll end my string. Now running this, we'll see it prints out hello from our virtual machine, which is what's running in this console, and then returned undefined. Once again, this is because this doesn't actually return anything. It just does an action in the console. So this is very useful if we want to see what a variable contains, or if we want to see the result of some math or any of our statements inside of our code. For instance, if I create a variable called my name and assign it the string Chris, and then in my statement, I can type console.log to access the log method of the console object and pass it the value of my name. And here we'll see it logged out Chris. Another built-in function that we have access to from Chrome and most other browsers is the alert method. Alert is a lot like console log, except that it will halt execution of the page and show a message on the page itself. To access this, I can type alert, and just like console log, this takes in a value. So here I've typed alert hello, the string literal, and when I run this code, we'll see that a message pops up that says hello. And we'll see that the function returns undefined. So those are just two ways, console log and alert, to help us debug our application while it's running.